Well, good morning. It's early in the morning here at Camp Crazy, and yeah, we're getting by though. It's not as cold as it was yesterday, and I'm grateful for that. Rocky's having a sleep there. I don't know if you can see him because when I turn the phone around, I can't see what's going on, but I'll move it around a bit. Ooh, there we go. Okay, so you might see him. If you don't see him, then you will see him. I don't know. Anyway, you know, I didn't handle things very well yesterday. Things kind of piled up on me, and I apologize for that. Sometimes things come together in such a way that they'll do that. Looks like I need to shave the whiskers pretty soon. I see that. I'm pretty scruffy looking. Anyway, I don't know. I figure you've all been following what's happening in the world. How could you not be, really? And it's got me to thinking about some things. And not just my own personal business, although it's going to affect me personally, and it is affecting me personally, like it's affecting everyone, one way or another. There's virtually nobody that hasn't been affected over the last 2, 3, 4 years by what's happened. Um, and I'm going to tell you something about all that because, you know, I'm a guy who's I've got a lot of experience with con artists, I guess you could say. For some reason, and probably because I'm incompetent in many ways, con artists are drawn to me. And so I tend to know how con artists work, and and how people with an agenda work, and especially how people with an agenda that are dealing with you, but they don't have your best interest at heart by any stretch of the imagination, how people like that work, because I've dealt with that. I think we've all dealt with that from time to time. And I'm somebody, I think, though, who has dealt with it a little more than the average person. And so I see a lot of tricks being played anyway in high places, all the divide and conquer stuff and all that. And one thing I will say about what's happening now. Well, he's passed away now, but I had a very dear friend, a man I made friends with when I was still a little boy. And he was the custodian at our school, and he was also a relation of mine. He was a cousin of mine through my grandmother's family. He'd be a cousin to my dad. I guess he'd be a second cousin to me. And after I got out of the place in Toronto where I was used as a guinea pig, I was weak as a kitten. I was peeing and pooping myself because I had lost control of my bowels and my bladder. I couldn't speak. And, in that society, well, in that world where I lived, at least in 1976, as an 8-year-old boy, see, back then, and this is for the younger people because I know things have changed quite a bit, but we were a lot like a pack. Especially boys, we were like a pack of wild dogs almost. There was like a pecking order. And, we had to fight our way into the pecking order, basically. We had to fight to establish who was where in the pecking order. And if you were another little boy and I met you, you'd probably challenge me to a fight, and I'd have to fight you. And if you beat me, well, then I would be lower than you on the pecking order. If I beat you, well, then I'd be higher than you on the pecking order. That's how it worked. And anyway, after I got out of there, of course, I was weak as a kitten. I was passing out. I couldn't fight. And plus, I was open to ridicule because of what was going on with me. Because they completely knocked out parts of my brain when they were using me as a guinea pig. And so, anyway, every day when I go out into the back field, we called it, because it was our schoolyard was an actual field out back in those days. It was rocks and trees and long grass and stuff. Um, when I go out to the back field with the other kids at recess time or at lunchtime, I was getting ganged up on and I was getting beat bad. I was having my clock cleaned every day. And I mean, back then, a fight between boys was a serious thing, you know. We didn't use weapons or anything. There was none of that. But I'll tell you, you know, when you were fighting with your fists, it was a serious thing. And you know, you get your nose bloodied and your eyes blackened and everything else. I had a tooth knocked out of my head in a fight one time. I had my nose bloodied many times in fights, and black eyes and everything else. So, you know, it was a serious thing. And anyway, my old friend there, who was the custodian at the school, he went to the old nun, Sister Loretta, who was our principal, and he basically told her, let me take him under my wing and stuff because they're going to kill him out there. So that's what happened anyway. And I'd stay in at recess and help him with his chores and so on in the school. And then I got going out to the wood lot with him. He had a wood lot and we'd pile wood and stuff. Anyway, this man, he helped me a great deal anyway, and we became lifelong friends. And even after I grew up, he often gave me a lot of good advice, and he helped me out in different ways. He spoke up for me in different ways and stuff. He lent me money a few times when I needed it. He lent me a vehicle when I needed it a few times. He was really good to me anyway. But that's a man who grew up during the Depression. He was born in 1932. And I remember one time, it'd be probably 10 or 15 years ago, he said something to me I'll never forget. He told me, he said, Tom, this country is in worse shape right now than I have ever seen it in my lifetime since I was a little boy during the Depression. I remember him saying that. And he also told me, you know, he said the Depression ended with a world war. And he said, you know, people don't want to go to war. It's not normal to want to go to war. But he said after that Depression, there were guys signing up to go to war, and they were willingly going to war. Because anything was better than what they were living through at that time. And going to war meant that you got fed 3 times a day. They put a uniform on your back. They put a roof over your head. They fed you 3 times a day. And it was different. It was an adventure, you know, and that's why young men signed up to go. But he said, you know, basically he said they had to bring us to our knees to make us glad to go to war. And I remember that. And, you know, I see that happening now. I see that happening now. We're on the verge of a war. They purposely crashed the economy. They've done it on purpose. Pardon my throat is all buggered up. I mean, look, I know there is a certain amount of incompetence in play there, and I know that, and I see it. But it isn't total incompetence because there's a lot of very intelligent people working the system. There's a lot of very intelligent people. I mean, look, the people running the economy, look at it this way. The people who actually run the economy, not some of these dopey figureheads that we see like our Prime Minister up here in Canada. Not people like that, but the people who really run it. The people who actually make the decisions. These people are very smart. You know? I mean, it's almost like, if you think of these people are like a really well-seasoned bus driver. A guy who's driven a bus for 30, 40 years. And he knows his bus. He knows what his bus can do, and he knows what his bus can't do. He knows the limits of his bus. And his job is to get the bus from point A to point B safely, with all the passengers happy and unhurt and so on. That's his job. Now, he's the bus driver, the economy's the bus, and we're the passengers on the bus. Well, that's kind of how it is. You know, like I say, the people running the economy are the bus driver, the bus is the economy, and we're the passengers. Now, if that bus driver suddenly starts doing things that are beyond the abilities of his bus. If he starts handling his bus improperly, he'll crash his bus. See, you crash the economy, you crash the economy bus. And all the passengers will get hurt. Well, guess who they are? Those are us. We're the passengers on the economy bus. And you know darn well that if that guy does that, he's not stupid. He's driven that bus now all those years and had no problems. All of a sudden he starts doing crazy stuff and the bus crashes. Either he's lost his mind or he's done it on purpose for some reason. Well, it's sort of the same thing that I'm seeing happening now with our economy. It's being crashed on purpose. And, they're talking about build back better. Well, you can't build something unless you tear down what's already there. And these guys who say build back better, these guys in high places, yeah, it's built back better for them, not for us. We're going to suffer terribly. We're already suffering, and we're going to suffer more. That's how it is. So, basically get ready, because times are tough, but they're probably going to get a lot tougher, and that'll be by design. That'll be by design. And just look after your people, your own people. Look after your families. Help out where you can. And, get ready. Do whatever you need to do to get ready for it, because it's, we're in for some tough times now, and it's being done to us. That's the whole thing. That's the tragedy of it, is it's being done to us. That bus driver knows exactly what he's doing while he's trying to crash the bus. There's malicious intent there. Anyway, there's another video I probably shouldn't have made, but I did, and I'm going to post it anyway. And I will say, for my personal situation, things aren't great in a lot of ways, but I'm in a positive frame of mind again. I had a bad day yesterday, so I apologize for that. I mean, I didn't handle myself all that well yesterday. I let it get to me, and it did, and that one comment from that one woman pushed me over the edge, I guess, about, try cleaning or something like that. He said, I forget exactly what it was. Try some cleaning or something like that. That pushed me over the edge anyway, and I was pretty close to the edge as it was at the time. So anyway, she's entitled to her opinion. I disagree with her. I think I do a pretty good job, but not saying there isn't room for improvement, but given what's going on right now and just the way things are and how much harder it is to get anything done back here, I think I do pretty well. I mean, doing laundry is a day-long job. Just to give you an example, I don't have an automatic washing machine, and in the wintertime I can't do laundry. It's not even a thing I can do in the wintertime. Unless I load all my stuff into a wagon and drag it through the snow into town, into the laundromat, which would be an awful ordeal right now, I'll tell you. Even in the good weather, it's an ordeal. It's like dragging a ball and chain behind me, dragging that wagon around. So, like I say, it's just all stuff like that most people can't relate to. And I can understand maybe they be a little judgmental because they can't relate to what this is. And I don't wish it upon anybody, I figure everything happens for a reason, though, and I've been put where I'm put for a reason. And I'm supposed to be where I'm at right now. And when I'm not supposed to be in this situation anymore, I'll be in a different situation, and that may be better or it may be worse. And a lot of it probably depends on how I handle this situation. If I don't handle this situation properly, I'll be in a worse situation later. But if I do handle this situation properly, then I'll be better off, even with all the roadblocks and obstacles that are being placed in front of me, and really in front of all of us, because right now we have a system that's actively working to keep us from bettering ourselves and to put us into worse circumstances. But in the end, we just got to keep pushing ahead despite it. You know, if that bully stands in your way and tells you you can't come down this street, well, you can either turn around and go the other way and then continue always to do that, or you can push your way past him. And that takes a lot of bravery to push your way past him. But if you push your way past that goofy bully just once, you'll never have to do it again, because he'll be so humiliated when you do it the first time that he won't bother you anymore. You know, and that's generally the best way to do things. Just push your way past and keep on moving. Leave him in your dust. You know, that's what we all need to do. Anyway, on that note, I'll talk to y'all later. I hope you're having a good morning. I apologize for how I was yesterday. The stove and that comment and a bunch of other things that have gone on and are going on ongoing have gotten to me. There's one situation in particular that I can't even talk about right now that's really gotten to me. But at some point I may share that if I'm able to. But I can't really say anything right now about that. But there's just a lot of stuff happening anyway right now, and maybe it's a good thing ultimately. We'll see. I guess it just depends on how I deal with it, that's all. Anyway, talk to you all later.